Everyone, veteran journalist Ralph Renick, who spent more than 35 years delivering the news to South Florida right from this very studio, passed away last night.
Renick had been hospitalized for most of the last few months with complications stemming from hepatitis and liver failure. He was 62 years old. Ralph Renick wasn't just a television news anchorman. When he started here at WTVJ 42 years ago as a staff announcer, he was making $40 a week. And who would have dreamed he'd go on to make history as the longest reigning local anchorman ever on television.
WTVJ, Miami, South Florida's largest daily circulation. The Ralph Renick Report.
He was, for the better part of 4 decades, the man South Florida turned to for news.
Now here's Ralph Renick.
Good evening, everybody.
Ralph Renick, serious, conservative, upstanding, no nonsense. Renick was South Florida, but even more than that, Ralph Renick was Channel 4.
113 Republican election.
The Miami-bound FEC passenger train, the Gulfstream, is derailed at West Palm Beach this afternoon.
He was just a kid, really, when he joined Florida's only television station back in 1949. But by July of 1950, the skinny kid was on the air, anchoring a nightly newscast before anyone knew what a TV anchor was supposed to be.
Time left to say goodnight, and may the good news be yours.
There were no rules to follow, so Renick made the rules, and he set the standards we still respect.
He was definitely an institution. He was a beacon. He was the target for everyone. I think if you had a look at today's television market in Miami, that you would have to attribute the excellence of this market to Ralph Renick.
I think that's absolutely true. Ralph was everybody's idol and ideal, and those of us who came into the business a few years behind him tried very hard to strive for the qualities that he had already established.
In the beginning, there was no network, no tape, no graphics. Film of national events often got here so late, Renick had to improvise.
The pictures we had, we clipped out of newspapers and out of magazines and stuff like that, and we had nothing. I mean, he used to go out and shoot film.
Ralph wasn't afraid to do things different, and he wasn't afraid to try things.
No, he wasn't. Being number one just wasn't enough. In 1957, Renick instituted the country's first daily television editorials.
As I stated at the outset of this nightly editorial on September 2nd, no endorsement would be given any candidate for political office.
Off the air, Ralph Renick was a tough taskmaster, demanding much from those around him. But he drove himself, too, especially in the early years, becoming the first local anchor to leave the anchor desk and travel the world to gather news.
Do you think it would be possible for you to soon visit Miami, Dr. Castro?
Well, I am very happy for that invitation.
In 1959, he spent 3 weeks in the Soviet Union, snaring Nikita Khrushchev for an exclusive interview.
And now, Ralph Renick reports the news.
And talk about chances. Orson Welles had nothing on Ralph. In this 1960 program, Renick simulated what his newscast might be like if South Florida were taken over by communists.
People's Army militiamen stood majestically on the steps of the Dade County Courthouse, where the new regime will make its headquarters. Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you the truth. We've been taken over by a totalitarian...
At 6'4", Ralph Renick was an imposing physical being. His mere presence could be intimidating.
He was very impressive, and he was scary. You know, you talk to Ralph, and you say, "Hi, Ralph." He goes, "Oh, hello, how are you?" You know, he's kind of shake all over.
He could be very aloof.
Could be, would be. But get Ralph Renick out of the station, and he was the funniest, friendliest, wittiest guy in the world. A guy who could laugh at himself.
Over the course of his career, Ralph interviewed 7 United States presidents. It was never totally clear who was granting whom an audience.
The man who rarely smiled on the air smiled a lot in the community, and he was everywhere. An active leader in the Boy Scouts of America, with the Catholic Church, heading a committee to restore the Statue of Liberty, another committee to honor the Challenger astronaut, reading to the blind on radio. Ralph Renick was in demand as a public speaker, as a master of ceremonies, as a teacher.
Here we go. The story's beginning. You better hurry up. Okay, can you sit over here?
But he was also in demand as a father, having raised 6 children after the death of his wife, Bain, in 1964. His kids, and later their kids, appeared on the air with Ralph every year at Christmas time.
The votes were invalidated because 2 punches had been made on the voting cards.
As a TV news anchor, Ralph Renick was #1 in the ratings for almost all of his 35-plus years on the air. That didn't hurt his job security one bit, but neither did the fact that Channel 4's owner, WMETCO President Mitchell Wolfson, thought of Renick as his son and gave him virtual free rein in building the Channel 4 news department. Renick's success was also due in no small part to this woman, for 30 years Renick's right hand. If Ralph Renick built the news department, Ruth Sperling ran it. For Renick, Camelot began to crumble in 1983 with the death of Mitchell Wolfson. When WMETCO and Channel 4 were sold to an investment firm in 1984, the handwriting was on the wall. Renick, whose brothers Bob and Richard have always been active politically, had for years harbored political ambition himself. He finally took the plunge.
It is my decision, effective tonight, to step down as Vice President and News Director of WTVJ and also relinquish my duties as newscaster editorialist on this program.
Renick would begin an unsuccessful 6-month run for the Democratic gubernatorial nomination, but not before an emotional farewell.
I thank you for being the most supportive TV news audience anyone could ever hope to have.
And then it was time to say goodbye.
Weaver, you're the only one left here. What's happening?
I'm going to miss you.
Yeah.
I really am.
You have nobody to bounce your jokes off of.
It's not going to be the same anymore.
And it wasn't, of course. Renick returned to television in 1988 to do editorials for Channel 6, but by September of 1990, he'd had enough.
I'll say to you, this is not farewell. It's more goodbye for now.
But for Renick, it was farewell, and for South Florida, it was the end of an era.
Good night, and may the good news be yours, and hopefully mine.
Ralph, we're going to miss you. But those of us who grew up with Ralph Renick will remember him for more than just his nightly newscasts. He gave so much to this community over the course of his life, helping to make South Florida a better place for all of us.
When we come back, we're going to talk to some of Renick's friends and community leaders about his contributions from behind and away from the anchor desk.
Remembering Ralph Renick, he was our eyes and our voice for more than 3 decades. And as you listen to this excerpt from a typical 1951 newscast, you'll realize how much Ralph grew right along with South Florida.
Good evening, everyone. Tuesday, October 6th, and here are tonight's Florida and local news brief. The Miami-bound FEC passenger train, the Gulfstream, is derailed at West Palm Beach this afternoon. But reports say only 2 persons have suffered minor injuries. The remaining passengers are continuing on to this city by bus. Dade County today orders dams removed from 4 canals as dairymen are up in arms over their flooded pasture land. The State Road Board rules today on South Florida Road 9. Its inclusion into the proposed turnpike, and a county worker is killed by an automobile.